What if I told you that Michael Jordan, the greatest basketball player who ever lived, was once considered not good enough to play? What if I told you that the richest man in the world started his empire on a dare, in a garage, building desks out of doors? And what if I told you that an Olympic champion missed the biggest race of his life, cried for months, and then came back to break a world record? You'd think these were stories about talent, about luck, about being born different. You'd be wrong. Today, I want to take you inside the minds of history's highest achievers. Not the highlight reels, not the victory laps, the moments before, the moments during, the moments when everything hung in the balance and they chose to become who they were meant to be. Because here's the truth they don't tell you. The mindset of a high achiever isn't something you're born with. It's something you build. And today, I'm going to show you how. Let's start with a man named Oliver Zeidler. In 2016, Zeidler was a competitive swimmer with a dream. He trained relentlessly. He sacrificed everything. And when the Olympic trials came for Rio, he missed qualification by a razor-thin margin. His dream died. Most people would have quit. Most people would have said, "I gave it my best." Zeidler did something else. At 20 years old, an age when most athletes are peaking in their sport, he walked away from swimming entirely. He picked up an oar. He started rowing from absolute zero. Sometimes the best thing you can do is to become a beginner again, he would later say. Within 3 years, he became world champion. Within 5 years, he was the favorite for Olympic gold in Tokyo. And then Tokyo happened. Zeidler entered as the reigning world champion. His nation hadn't seen a medal in his discipline for 2 decades. The pressure was suffocating. And in the semi-final, in front of the world, he finished 4th. He missed the final entirely. "I remember going to the cool-down area and really taking 2 minutes to just cry my eyes out," he admitted. Here's where the mindset reveals itself. Zeidler didn't make excuses. He didn't blame the conditions or the judges. He went home. He took 2 months off. He stood by a lake in Switzerland, his lake of the gods, and he asked himself the hard question, do I still want this? When the answer came back yes, he didn't just return to training. He transformed his approach. He embraced sports psychology, something he'd once dismissed. He faced the demons that haunted him from Tokyo. He prepared differently. At the Paris Olympics, Zeidler stepped up to the starting line. The semi-final, the exact race where he'd lost everything 3 years earlier, loomed before him. "There were still some demons with me from Tokyo," he said. He crossed the line with an Olympic record, almost 5 seconds faster than anyone in history. Here's what Oliver Zeidler teaches us. High achievers don't avoid failure. They befriend it. They study it. They let failure teach them what success never could. Now let me take you to 1995. A young man named Jeff Bezos is working at a hedge fund. He's smart. He's successful. He's on track for a comfortable life. But he notices something strange. The internet is growing at 2,300% a year. And in that number, he sees a question. What if I could sell books online? Bezos didn't have billions. He didn't have investors lining up. He had a garage in Bellevue, Washington, and a crazy idea. Here's what fascinates me about early Amazon. Bezos and his first 5 employees needed desks. They couldn't afford office furniture. So Bezos went to Home Depot, bought a few doors, attached legs, and called it a day. Today, those door desks are legendary inside Amazon. The company even created the Door Desk Award, given to employees who find creative, resourceful solutions to impossible problems. But Bezos' mindset goes deeper than frugality. Listen to what he says about bold bets. If you're going to take bold bets, they're going to be experiments. And if they're experiments, you don't know ahead of time whether they're going to work. Think about that. The man who built Amazon, who turned a garage startup into a trillion-dollar empire, openly admits he didn't know if his biggest ideas would work. AWS, an experiment. Kindle, an experiment. Amazon Prime, an experiment. Some experiments failed. Remember Pets.com? Bezos does. But he also knows that you cannot get Amazon Web Services without risking pets.com. Here's what Jeff Bezos teaches us. High achievers don't wait for certainty. They place bets. They run experiments. They understand that failure isn't the opposite of success. It's an ingredient. Now meet Neel Nanda. At 26 years old, he leads a team at Google DeepMind. He's at the absolute frontier of artificial intelligence research. But Neel has a secret. He's a perfectionist. For a long time, I often didn't want to do things, he admits. I'm like, this seems risky. This could go wrong. Sound familiar? How many opportunities have you missed because you were waiting until you felt ready? How many dreams have died because you were afraid of looking foolish? Neel decided to fight back. He challenged himself to write one blog post every day for a month. Not perfect posts, not groundbreaking research, just something. Published, in public. That simple act changed everything. It built visibility, it built connections. It even helped him meet his partner. But more importantly, it taught him a lesson he now shares with the world. One of the most important lessons I've learned is that you can just do things. You can just do things. Neel calls this maximizing your luck surface area, saying yes more often, trying more things, giving luck more chances to find you. When his team leader stepped down unexpectedly at DeepMind, Neel was terrified. He didn't know if he'd be good at leadership, but he remembered his lesson. He said yes. Here's what Neel Nanda teaches us. High achievers don't wait until they're ready. They start before they're ready. They understand that perfectionism is just fear wearing a mask. Let me take you to the golf course. Scottie Scheffler is the #1 player in the world. He's won more tournaments than anyone since Tiger Woods. He just became the first golfer since the 1940s, since legends like Ben Hogan and Byron Nelson, to win 3 PGA events in consecutive seasons by 4 shots or more. Here's what most people don't know about Scottie. When he was a kid, he wore long pants to the golf course. Another pro asked him why he wasn't wearing shorts. Young Scottie looked up and said, "Because I'm going to be a pro someday, and pros don't wear shorts." At 6 years old, he already saw himself as a champion. But here's the part that really matters. Scottie Scheffler, the best golfer on planet Earth, still studies other players to learn. He studies Sam Burns to sharpen his putting. He watches Jordan Spieth for creativity. He draws fire from Tiger Woods' competitiveness. He emulates Rory McIlroy's driving. I think in our game, there's always little things that I look at in people's games that I can improve on, Scheffler says. The best in the world still believes he can get better. Jack Nicklaus, the greatest golfer of all time, watched Scheffler win the Memorial Tournament and said, "He reminds me so much of the way I like to play." Here's what Scottie Scheffler teaches us. High achievers are perpetual students. They know that mastery isn't a destination, it's a direction. Finally, I want to introduce you to Alexa von Tobel. In 2008, the world was collapsing. The financial crisis was destroying careers, fortunes, and dreams. Alexa was 24 years old, studying at Harvard Business School. She decided to drop out. Her friends thought she was crazy. Her professors thought she was making a mistake. But Alexa saw something others didn't, a chance to help people navigate their finances when they needed it most. She started LearnVest with nothing but an idea and a 6-word OU she repeated to herself every morning. Get up, dress up, show up. That's it. 3 simple commands. Wake up early. Prepare yourself. Show up with positive energy. For 20 years, Alexa has started every single day with those words. She's now sold her company for over $375 million and runs a successful venture fund. Every entrepreneur should cultivate persistent optimism, she says, a persistent, unshakable optimism. Here's what Alexa von Tobel teaches us. High achievers don't wait for motivation to strike. They build systems. They create rituals. They decide every single morning to show up. So what do these stories tell us? Oliver Zeidler faced 2 devastating failures and came back to break records. Jeff Bezos built an empire on experiments, knowing some would fail. Neel Nanda overcame perfectionism by simply starting. Scottie Scheffler studies his competitors because he believes he can still improve. Alexa von Tobel repeats the same 3 words every morning for 20 years. Notice something? Not one of them relied on talent alone. Not one of them waited for perfect conditions. Not one of them let failure define them. Here's the blueprint. 1. Failure is data, not destiny. When you fall, ask what the fall taught you, then get back up and go again. 2. Experiments beat certainty. You don't need to know everything before you start. You just need to be willing to learn. 3. Start before you're ready. Perfectionism is paralysis. The world rewards those who ship. 4. Never stop learning. The best in the world study those around them. So should you. 5. Show up every single day. Motivation fades, discipline remains. Build your ritual and protect it. So let me ask you something. What dream are you waiting to start? What failure are you letting define you? What perfect moment are you waiting for that will never arrive? The high achievers I've told you about today aren't different from you. They don't have special genes. They don't have secret advantages. They have one thing. They decided. They decided that failure wouldn't stop them. They decided that uncertainty wouldn't scare them. They decided that perfectionism wouldn't paralyze them. They decided to show up every single day and become who they were meant to be. That decision is waiting for you, right here, right now. Get up, dress up, show up. The world is waiting for what you'll become.